I'm Amy Jean. Welcome back to my channel if you're here before, but also for all the newcomers, it is nice to meet you. I would shake your hand, but I can't reach that far. I saw these YouTubers doing a 10-minute challenge, and I thought it was interesting because a lot of times you always see people making those constant cuts to their videos, and of course I'm guilty of doing this. You know, nothing's ever really perfect enough. I feel like we all have this problem with what we're putting out there. We're very self-conscious about it, so I thought doing a 10-minute challenge like this, it's interesting because you get to know the raw me, but also it's almost a challenge for me. It's like, you know, jumping into that cold shower and making something new to do. See, right now I'm already feel weird, and so I'm just gonna get started and go with it. I feel like as this goes on, you become more comfortable in front of it. So I am conquering some of those fears of you just being on a camera. So I'm gonna do 10 minutes. 10-minute challenge. Here we go. 3. You can see it, so you obviously. Oh, you can't see it. You can see rainbows, which is even better. And it's starting now. Hi guys. I feel like I just went into like a whole different ego there for a second, a whole different persona. I feel like a lot of us have different personas. If you don't know what a persona is, it's kind of like, I'm not sure if you've watched, how about The Mask with Jim Carrey, and he has the mask on, and it's a different person, it's a different persona. It's like who you are by yourself versus with your friends, even certain people versus with teachers, security figures, and your parents. You're a different person, kind of depending on the environment, the situation you're in, and that can be your persona. A lot of people think, oh, you're two-faced. You know, I think there are some people, two-faced is like when they go behind your back and, you know, you're doing it on purpose. But a lot of times your persona, you can't really help it. You have these different characteristics that come out at different times. You know, my favorite movie was always Shrek, and the part where he talks about an onion and how it has a whole bunch of layers. And a lot of that, you know, it's basically a metaphor for being us humans. We are different. I consider myself a different person every day with all the experiences that I go through. And just, I feel like everyone's the same, but you don't even know it. You know, each day you're changing. You know, this happens for me, and then you look back in a year and you're like, I am a completely different person. Literally, the atoms that you're made up of are constantly, you know, shifting, moving. So in, I believe, 7 or 10 years' time, I think it'd be different for everyone. You're literally made out of a whole bunch of different components. It's interesting because the only thing that really holds you together is your memories and those personalities, those values, those traits, other things that aren't your 5 senses. See, I read this book. I haven't even finished it, but it is called The Seed of Your Soul, and I never realized, I wish I knew the exact facts, but I know a lot of ancestors are way back, throwback to a different world. This was the seed of your soul, was your third eye. I never knew that, I just learned that, but the whole seed of the soul, it you know, had everything written that almost I already knew, but it was just so understandable. I mean, a lot of times I have to reread something just because it sounded so perfect in my head, and it just made sense. I've tried to bring this up with other people, but a lot of times it's difficult when, of course, a lot of times I like talking to people with different views because I want them to try to prove me wrong, you know. So anyway, what I was talking about is us in our physical form, in our body, we have 5 senses, right? We learn this from a very young age. And, you know, it's see, touch, smell, taste, feel, no, hear. No, clearly, I don't, but you will know them automatically. It's just something that one of those things that have been forced into your head, even if you didn't even know it was happening, But the thing is, I feel like, personal thing, that you have more than 5 senses, and I feel like a lot of people who really explore themselves, they can agree with that, because there's definitely something that's making you make your choices, your intuitions, and you know, you could say that's your brain and your mind making those things, and I kind of agree with that. From past experiences, it might influence on what you're doing now, but I feel like there's something greater than that, this multi-sensory system that is within you and just makes life so interesting. Well, I don't know. It's just that everything that you process and the way you process it is different from everyone else. It's just, yeah, I'm gonna move on to something else. So, the other day, 2 days ago, I'd say this is day 3. I'm going to keep doing this until I stop counting the days, because what I'm trying to do is cut meat out of my diet. And more altogether, my goal is to become closer to vegan. Of course, there's a lot of controversy in it, as there's a controversy in my old house. I'll open up my fridge for you. We have milk, eggs, yogurt, mayonnaise, all these dips with dairy products. So, yeah, there's a inside my fridge. Check out my fridge, you know? So it is very difficult, but I feel like it all falls back to the reasons of why you're doing something. I talked to my friends yesterday. I don't really see them often, but I just went to go to their house. And it just came, they're offering me food, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to go vegan. You know, I was trying to consider myself vegan, but I don't want to rush into anything. I'm just slowly, you know, putting my toes in the water. It's just because for the reasons, like, I want, it's hard to explain. You know, I'm trying to function everything all the time. But it's just, every minute, I want to do things for myself that make me grow, that make me learn, that make me a better person, that brings me closer to who I ultimately am at the core. And doing something like this, feeding your body good foods, it's inevitably going to have a good outcome. It's everything that you give yourself is the way it goes out. So this movie coming out, Alice in Wonderland, I think it's a look through the looking glass, or something to do with looking through the looking glass, looking through the glass, something like that, okay? And I feel like, once again, I take everything as metaphors, and that's kind of what you're looking at out here is kind of, you know, what you're looking at in here. Looking out here is like you're looking through the looking glass to a deeper meaning. No, of course, everyone has their own opinions on life and how it all works out. But I believe that it is for, you know, everything kind of happens for some sort of reason, and you may not know what's going on at the time, but always further on, you realize, you know, I am happy that happened. Even at the time, it, you know, brought you to your knees, and you were just sad, you know, it's something tragic and just depressing at the time. I think during those states of our life is when we realize closer to who we are and how strong the human spirit really is. That's when I feel like I have my faith in humanity, and a lot of times that's what tears me down, is the fact that I look around the world and I do not see, like, I do, but it's just limited. I don't see the love, I don't see appreciation or gratitude or any of those good values or virtues that I think we should be focusing on, because the more you focus on something, the more it's going to appear in your life. And I literally tried this thing. It kind of actually sparked from Meghan Hughes, the girl who I got the idea of the video. She just go around smiling at people. So I walk to school and I smile at people. You know, I would always do the little smirk, the little awkward smile, you know. So I tried to actually smile with my teeth. Of course, I don't know what I was looking like. I'll never know what I look like. But I do that, and people, they either just completely avoid eye contact with you, or they look at you for a second and look away, like they're embarrassed to show feelings. We have grown up in this place where it seems like it's not okay to cry, it's not okay to feel, and it's terrible. That disconnects us from our feelings, when our feelings are really something that brings us closer to who we are. Our feelings are a representation of our thoughts, and our thoughts are a representation of what we are going to become. You know, the current place that you are in right now is not your final destination. The only thing that's holding you back from that is your thoughts. That's the first step. That is, I'm a believer in that. It starts with your thoughts, but it also starts in what you're going to do, because what you're doing makes you really believe that you are going to achieve something. It's hard, like, okay, if you keep thinking, I'm a millionaire, but all you do is lay in bed all day and you're sad, word is bond. What you say is, it's what's going to happen. If you're saying, I can't afford that, I don't have any money, if that's what you're saying, that's going to be the result, no matter what your thoughts are, because your actions are your actions through your body language, through everything you do, through your verbal, the way you speak. Of course, that is, I think, similarly stronger than your thoughts. In some way, they kind of come hand in hand. because when you do these things and you say these things out loud and you put them out to the physical world, it makes it more real, and it almost makes your thoughts believe it more. And the more you say it, like everything else with persistence and practice and routine, it makes you believe it more. And that's why I'm a strong believer in visuals of, visionaries. If you can visualize and imagine things, as a kid, we have such a strong, beautiful imagination. And as we're older, we don't really practice that tool because we're too busy doing school and all those other basic needs that they say you need to do. And just being someone visual, you can turn any bad situation into something good by simply being a visionary. Like, I'll sit in class and I'm like, okay, I try to obtain all the information I can in my class. It is because, I got to enjoy the process of where I got to get to. There's things to learn. You realize that's just where you're meant to be. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't belong here, blah, 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 all dramatic things that we all go through. And I don't know. It's just when I sit there and I just imagine, I really visualize with my 5 senses being just in a house on the hills, Wiz Khalifa song. And I just imagine the water. There we go, 10 minutes. That is fun. I like rambling on. Yeah. Thank you for cutting me off, though. So I enjoyed that. I want to kind of first end this note on the reason as to why I am doing this. And the thing is, there's not one reason at all. There's many of them that are kind of hard to shape into words. Now, one of the reasons, I just kind of conquered that. That became easier for me because a lot of times I go up into the camera and at first it's really awkward. I have to do my greeting a few times because I feel like it's not good enough, because we're always self-conscious of what we put out there. Not even to the universe, but into our technology footprint. And, everyone's so scared of being judged, and no one's going to be authentic or weird. I think weird is a compliment. It means you're authentic. It means you're embracing who you are, and so many people are hiding that, and I think it would be such a beautiful thing if there was more people just being straight up weird, because I love weirdness. It's just what makes us humans. It's what makes us unique. We have our flaws. We have our, I wouldn't say perfections, but our imperfections make us perfect in a twisted way. But yeah, I get distracted very easily. I'm doing this, I want to get my word out there. My thoughts, ideas. I recently, especially, I've been finding that I feel like I'm more close with YouTubers than the actual people that are in my life in some way. I know that sounds like terrible. I am a loner. I'm proud to say that. I'm a loner! And that's when I discover most about myself. If you can't be alone, I don't know how you're going to find yourself. That's, I feel like, your truest state. At the end of the day, you're going to be the only person who lays your head on the pillow and deals with your own thoughts and your own mind and your own self. So I've always wanted to help people. I've been saying that forever. I just, through high school, I like to share my ideas, give advice. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, you should be a motivational speaker. And I'm like, no, I just want to, keep learning and growing. And sure, if I'm a motivational speaker, then that's what's going to happen. But I'm not there yet. I'm just enjoying the process. And I want to give tips and advice for other people to enjoy the process, because I feel like the place that we're in right now, in society as a whole, it does not value what we should be valuing. It does not teach you how to be happy at all. School is not going to teach you how to love yourself. That's why you got to do it on your own time, And so I also know how it is to be a viewer and just how exciting it is and fun to just watch and learn those things. I've learned a lot from YouTubers, and it would just be amazing for someone to learn something from me. You don't really realize how you impact someone's life. You really don't. I told my friend something the other day, and she's like, oh yeah, really? I didn't, they're too busy. I'm too busy wrapped up on my own world that I don't really think about the way that I impact others. And I want to do it positively to add that. So now I feel like all the best. Stay blessed. See See you next time. Let me know what you thought about that video. If you just tell me your advice. Thank you. Like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I am on YouTube. Amy out.